Welcome back. We still have with us Sanusi Musa, who's a legal practitioner, and we're talking about the president's emergency powers that the president may be asking for from the National Assembly. Well, just before we went on break, I was asking you, what exactly the president will be needing this powers for, considering the fact that we also have what the checks and balances. The National Assembly exists to play a role. Don't you think that it will be questioned the role of the National Assembly?
No, I don't really think it is going in any way to curtail the powers of the National Assembly. Mark you, all what the president is saying is checking, going by what is out, is what the government needs is to fast track some of the legislative bottleneck that will hinder speedy execution of project, the speedy inflow of capital into the Nigerian economy. So, beside, he is not saying, or rather, to my understanding, they are not saying that the National Assembly will not have a role to play. Mark you, the National Assembly's oversight function is a constitutional issue which is there. The fact that the National Assembly now say, okay, we have now agreed, because of some administrative bottleneck which you are required to undertake before you do certain things, please keep them aside, continue so that we get it speedy being done. Still, the National Assembly have the power to recall the process, to call it and check and see whether there is anything that is done which is a breach of the trust of the Nigerian people, whether there is anything that is done in conflict of interest with those administrators who are charged with that responsibility. So to my understanding, it has nothing to do with saying that the National Assembly will not play its role. The National Assembly will play its role of checking the executive, oversighting all the activities that are going to be carried out. Only that there's some administrative bottleneck of the executive which we need at this time. These are the things that are required to be put aside so that we can be able to get out of the problem we are having now.
Well, I do believe that my colleagues in Lagos have questions for you.
Indeed. Let me ask you, Musa, there are many who will argue against these powers if they actually do propose or ask or send a bill to the National Assembly. Let me even ask you, if they were to do that, what do you think that they will do differently if granted these emergency powers that they can't do now?
Like from what we see coming out from what the paper said, like granting the contractors 50% instead of 15%, which is required now, I think, under Section 32 of the Procurement Act, that is the mobilization fee. I think this is something differently, because we have to agree that at this situation, at a situation whereby you have an interest rate of about, even officially, about 14%, which now the bank give money at about 27%. No any businessman can go and do business and get something out of it. In other words, contractors who get 15% and start road and go stock will now have we will now have a paradigm shift, a shift whereby when somebody is given a contract, 50% of the money is advanced to the contractor, which will speedily see that the execution of the work. So I think these are going to be done differently. And like the issue of also selling or leasing some of the properties of the government in order to show up the foreign reserve of the country. I think this is something also which, if we do, it will help the economy, because according to the expert, because I'm not an economist, we may likely have, we will realize about $50 billion into the foreign reserve, which is now at about $25 billion. So with that, and I think with the what will follow, because when you lease or sell those assets to the investors, they are going to also make a capital inflow into the system, which will also stimulate the economic activities. I think these are things that will, some of the things that will be done differently in order to see that the economy move faster. And also, like the issue of the UBA, which you have about 58 billion naira now that is in the banks, and nothing is going to be done about it, because at the present situation whereby many states are finding it difficult to even pay salary, there is no way they can be able to access that fund. So I think by doing away with 50% counter funding, even at the 10%, I wonder how many states will be able to do it.
Yeah, but Mr. Musa,
I think if you look at the situation, if you really want to address the education at the basic level, probably even the 10% will be made optional. It will be made in such a way.
But you know, there are
the opinion of the president.
There are those who will say that, yeah, about the infrastructural funding and some of those doing it properly. These are things that can be taken care of with our budgeting system. And you know, for those who actually argue that, look, they don't see anything that will be done differently if these powers are granted, they predicate their arguments on the APC manifesto. They say if you look through the manifesto, they don't see any concrete plan about the economy in the first place. So how do they know that they even have a big plan to get us out of where we are?
Well, you know, it's I don't want to speculate on. I cannot really recall what is in the FEC manifestos as at now, but I think for me, whoever is a right-thinking Nigerian will agree that to some extent we need to get out of this situation, whereby you lose about more than 2 million jobs in a year. It's not something palatable, and it's something that I think in Nigeria, I mean, the government has to do something to get out of this. That is my own thinking. So,
well, you already hear that some members of the National Assembly say that if such a bill comes, well, some of them say, well, we've not seen such a bill, we've not seen the bill yet, so we cannot be commenting on what it is that we don't know. But some of us say if such a bill comes, that bill is going to be dead on arrival. How are you going to be able to convince members of the National Assembly that such a bill will be necessary? I'm just wondering, you know, how do you think the executive, the president...
well, I think you can't, in a situation whereby you have about 360 members, 109 senators, without any scientific survey that is carried out to see that whether the majority members of the National Assembly will be against it, just 2 or 3 people saying that it is dead on arrival, I don't think they are even a bit realistic, because they cannot speak on behalf of the entire members of the National Assembly. And I think...
you don't think that it's just representative of the feelings of members of the National Assembly? It could be a sample opinion of, you know, some kind of bill will come across when it gets to the National Assembly.
It's natural for any bill of this nature to have some resistance in the National Assembly, particularly maybe from the opposition party, members of the National Assembly. But I still believe that the National Assembly, the government cannot just take something like that to the National Assembly. There is a leadership in the National Assembly. The principal officers are there, and the president have liaison officers that he has special assistants who are liaising with the National Assembly. And I don't think, you know, you see, in democracy, things are not just done like that. Some people are trying to portray the government as if really it just do things without consultation. I don't think that will be the case, and I'm sure even now...
You don't get that feeling?
No. I still believe that consultations are going on. I think that there may be some mistakes here and there, which it is normal. It is normal. You can't say that we get it 100% correct. But a situation whereby people think that the executive will just dump something on the National Assembly, it is not done that way. The executive, I think, will engage in robust consultation, not only with the members of the National Assembly. It has to do something about the communication with the public, so that we can be able to use the goodwill of the president to mobilize the Nigerian populace to understand what is even going to be in these emergency powers, how is it going to benefit them, so that they too can be able to talk to their representative. You
don't believe that the president still has goodwill amongst Nigerians?
I still believe in that. He does.
It hasn't been eroded?
No, it's normal. It's normal. You can't be a president for a year and you still say that the rating will be as it were before you come into power. It is not going to be possible, because certainly there are going to be disappointments here and there. There is some who expect things to be done this way have not been done. certainly the rating must have gone down. It is normal. It is, in any democracy. You cannot say how it was previously is what it is today. But still, I believe he has a goodwill. In fact, it is my belief that what is keeping this government, what is keeping this country now is that goodwill. The people, the belief the people have that the president have good intention. That is the main thing going on for this country with the level of economic downturn we are in.